Hello friend. I want to tell you about the BMW 850i car. Luxurious, sporty, technically the most advanced. This is how the BMW 8 Series was presented, which debuted in 1989 and did not find many customers. The project itself cost well over a billion German marks at the time, and although it was a great success in terms of image, it was not economically. Today, it is one of the most valued BMW young timers, which is rapidly gaining value. Despite this, it can still be bought for a relatively reasonable price. The BMW 8 Series was available in several engine versions, at least theoretically. The base version 830i with a 3.0 V8 engine was the margin. It practically does not exist on the market. Above it we had the 840i and 850i in various versions. 50i does not mean 5 liters of capacity, but the V12 engine, basically the only interesting from the point of view of both a collector and a person who would like to drive this model every day. This is also how it was perceived by the original customers, who most often left the showroom in the 300 horsepower version of the 850i or 850c. The White Crows are the Alpines, which easily reach prices close to 100,000 euros today, i.e. they have practically not lost their value. Why is it so special? The BMW 8 Series E31, 8er in German, is one of the most unique cars of this brand, right after the M1 model. The project, traditionally for the 80s and 90s, absorbed a lot of time and money. Work began in 1986 and ended with the premiere in 1989. The whole thing cost 1.5 billion Deutsche Marks at the time. In Germany, the model quickly earned the nickname Ferrari Killer, because it was actually the first BMW that could compete with the best GT cars from Italy and Great Britain. It was not only very luxurious, but also powerful. Unfortunately, the BMW 8 Series debuted at a time when the world economy was emerging from the financial crisis and there was little interest in luxury goods. The car cost from 130,000 marks in Germany for the 840i version to 180,000 for the 850c. The Alpina B12 was priced at over 200,000 marks. Ultimately, 30,621 units were sold during 10 years of production. So, this project can be safely considered a failure from an economic point of view. Low sales and huge project expenses today only positively affect the market value of the BMW 8er. Another thing is the technology. Let's make the best BMW ever. This slogan was probably the guiding principle of the BMW Supervisory Board when they allocated the exorbitant amount of 1.5 billion marks for the project of the successor to the 6 Series, E24. The car was to be, and ultimately was, packed with technology that had not been used in any other model. It was a show of the craftsmanship and level of the BMW brand. Klaus Kapitz, who had experience with Ford and low-drag cars, was responsible for drawing the body. Today, manufacturers also boast about it, but there is more talk about downforce. In the 80s, the most impressive thing was the drag coefficient of 0.29. The body, devoid of any spoilers or diffusers, was meticulously tested for safety, the effects of forces while driving, and noise in the cabin. In the latter area, there was a lot of work to minimize air noise in the frameless doors. The front and rear side windows can be fully lowered and stowed away, and the door windows automatically lowered slightly when opening and closing the doors, then raised again, making it easier to seal and unseal the cabin, reducing susceptibility to aerodynamic noise. The car was the first to be equipped with seat belts integrated with the seats, which thanks to this, had anchor points exactly where they were needed, and not where the bodywork allowed it. Such a system also does not change the position of the belts relative to the body when the seat is changed. The suspension design, like every other element of this car, was also very laborious. Instead of going straight to the Nürburgring, a simulator was developed for the car, which reproduced the loads that occur on this track. Engineers created an innovative rear suspension called the Z-axis. The BMW Technik department was responsible for this, which developed a similar system to the Z1 model. It is very compact and efficient at the same time. The electro-hydraulic rear-wheel steering system slightly changed the geometry, which caused the wheels to turn slightly towards the bend. This was to counteract oversteering. The solution debuted in 1993 in the 850 carbon monosilicide. Of course, there was also the ESP system and traction control. Today, these are obvious elements of equipment. Back then, they were not. The 8 Series also uses adaptive shock absorbers and a power steering system, which changes the force with increasing or decreasing speed. There is also a system that makes parking easier. An interesting feature is the use of a ball screw steering gear, the precision of which is not its strong point. The car was tested in all weather conditions, so as not to be a product like a Ferrari or Lamborghini, which cannot be driven in a traffic jam or in the desert at high speed. The BMW 8 Series easily endured 50-degree heat with the engine running, both under maximum load and at idle speed. The interior was perfectly cooled by the efficient air conditioning system to room temperature. Only one Wright engine. Although the BMW 8 Series came with V8 engines, the only proper engine is the aforementioned V12. This unit has a capacity of 4,988 cc in the 850i until 1992 and in the 850c until 1994. This is the most popular version of this model, sold in the number of over 20,000 units. The engine is marked M70B50 and develops 300 HP. After 1994, the 850c model featured a modified M73B54 engine with a capacity of 5,379 cc, developing 326 HP. It was produced until the very end, until 1999. The top model was the 850 CSI with the S70B56 engine with a capacity of 5,576 cc and a power of 380 hydrogen phosphide, produced in the years 1992 to 1996. Without exception, the most famous engine in the BMW 8 is the M70B50 engine, and it is the only one about which something more can be said. It is worth noting that this is one of the few components that was not designed from scratch specifically for this model. The engine debuted in the 7 Series limousine, E32, where it proved to be excellent. The large and heavy 8 Series needed a strong and lightweight engine. There was no better alternative than the M70. The engine weighed only 248 kilograms and developed 450 Newton meters. From a technical point of view, the engine was in a sense a combination of two 6-cylinder units. Separate computers controlling ignition and fuel dose were prepared for each of the heads. Each has one electronically controlled throttle valve and its own independent set of sensors. Even the fuel pumps were duplicated. The aluminum unit is equipped with an insulating layer in the noisiest areas to muffle noise. Double walls and damping are present in the valve cover and oil pan. Even the cylinder liners have a silicone coating on the outside to dampen vibrations. The engine is characterized by an extraordinary work culture. I had the opportunity to experience its silky operation myself. Starting is practically vibration-free, and you can easily build a house of cards on the running engine. Until the radiator fan turns on. Customers who wanted high travel comfort were offered a 4-speed ZF automatic transmission. For those who like to choose their own gears, a 6-speed Getrag manual was prepared, standard in the 850 carbon monosilicide. However, it quickly turned out that it was not popular, and as a golden mean, in 1993, a 5-speed ZF automatic with the option of manual gear selection was installed in each 8 Series. The BMW 850, regardless of the version, is an excellent, modern car for everyday driving, if someone is not afraid of losing such a rarity. The comfort it offers is one thing, performance, another. However, the impression it makes on the street is a completely different matter. It remains unnoticed by the unaware and will always be appreciated by enthusiasts. This is one of its unique features. While the ostentatious, Yet elegant Mercedes SEC is bought by collectors as well as young people who in practice cannot even afford the right tires for this car. The BMW 8 Series is difficult to buy by accident. The only problem on a daily basis may be high fuel consumption, counted in tens of liters per 100 kilometers. It might seem that it is irrelevant, but even in the years of production, even American customers complained about high fuel consumption. And after all, they used 8-liter engines with 200 HP in convertibles with the dimensions of a European truck. Of course, a gas installation is out of the question here, because it significantly reduces the value of the car. What is very important, from the operational point of view, there is absolutely no problem with service and spare parts. As befits a decent car from the 90s, the BMW 850 will break down only at the express request of the user. It is important to take care of basic service. Change the oil in the engine best every 10,000 kilometers, and in the automatic transmission every 30 to 40,000 kilometers. When looking for something to repair, you have to be prepared mainly for used or ASO parts. However, basic replacements for suspension, brake system or sensors are available. It is more difficult to buy, for example, tires in the factory size. With a well-maintained 8 Series, you can count on good discounts in authorized services, where people work with passion. Everything can be ordered, sometimes you have to wait. The most important thing is that this is a car that is not very demanding and practically does not break down. Such a refined design does not even have the right to have factory defects. The important thing is that in some areas you can afford minor modifications without losing much of the car's value. You can successfully change the brakes to aftermarket ones, although we emphasize here that the stock ones are incredibly effective. If the shock absorbers wear out, you can skip the original purchase and opt for a high-class sports set. Such modifications are neutral in a car of this class. On the other hand, non-original adaptive shock absorbers can also be replaced with regular replacements, which can also be a reason to reduce the resale price. If you are going to buy a BMW 8 Series, it is not worth saving on a trip, inspection, or even the opinion of a used car specialist or appraiser. Any money saved can come back to haunt you and become money thrown down the drain. The most important thing is a non-accident past, because the car is not easy to repair in terms of bodywork. Another thing is a functioning engine. Its repairs are very expensive, and performing a major overhaul with block machining is basically out of the question. Expensive accessories should work flawlessly. You don't have to worry about the gearbox. It is even worth considering buying a car with a damaged automatic for a lower price. Manual transmission repairs will be more expensive. Thank you for listening to me. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and rate my video. If you know of any problems with this car that I haven't mentioned, be sure to write about them in the comments.
I have good news for you. Now, if you are planning to buy a used car, or learn more about your car, you no longer need to search for the information you need on the internet. We have collected everything in one place for you, on the website carme.pro. Here you can find out everything about the car, what brakes and at what mileage, any problems with engines, chassis or gearboxes, which trim levels are better not to mess with, and how not to lose money buying a used car. You will learn all this on carme.pro.